Something to me, and I know to my father, that is a requirement for a great guitar is the ability to play classical or flamenco on any given guitar. Any of the guitars you hear tonight will work perfectly for both. Here's a 1969 Hermann Hauser II. It has 5 fan braces and interesting. Traditionally, guitars have a brace coming across here. This Hauser has a V brace, comes to a point here, and then it has a floating bar added. I think he was just opening up more vibrating surface of the top. It's a cedar top, rosewood body. In 1969, my father went to Hermann's workshop, Hermann II's workshop in Germany, and he played 3 guitars. This was one of them. My father fell in love with this guitar, and Hauser agreed to sell it to him and put a dedication in the label, a second label inside, dedicating it to my father. He used it on tour a lot. He recorded most of the Opera Fantasy CD on this guitar. He also did use his Guitar the Wonderful on that album. This guitar and my sister here are survivors of a terrible car accident. In 1970, about a year after my father got this guitar, he was driving through Colorado in the mountains in a storm. The quartet had been on tour, and so I think my grandfather was a couple cars behind them. So it was my father, my mother, and then my 2 oldest sisters at the time who were babies. And they went off the side of the mountain. There were no guardrails. And they rolled, maybe a dozen times and were stopped by a tree. One tree was standing there and caught the car. Everyone escaped okay. My mom had a badly broken arm. The girls were good. The guitar was missing. And I think it was the next day they pulled it out of the snow. And he got this guitar back, and it had to be repaired. Mattingly did a great repair on it, but incredible guitar. And the next part, the cool thing, behind my father was my grandparents. Behind them was a mountain rescue team, just happened to be there. So they got their equipment, climbed down the mountain, pulled them up.
And if I could say something as far as record sleeves go, that was as Pepe said, the Opera Fantasies recording was done with this guitar for most of it. And there's a beautiful picture of Pepe on the back. But one of the best pictures of Pepe, if recording with me, is this picture right here. He's kissing the guitar.
So you better wipe the neck.
Yeah, I just said, wipe down the neck.
Tune up a guitar like this. Just take your time tuning it up. I first heard this. I'd known about this guitar, but I first heard this when Pepe played at Ambassador Auditorium. Anybody here remember Ambassador Auditorium? He played there with Jesse Norman, the famous opera singer, and did pretty much the whole concert. I think he took some solos too, but he did the Faya songs with her on this, and it was so powerful. So talk about being able to do flamenco as well as classical. I mean, there was a fair amount of traditional Spanish strumming on that concert too. So what I'll play actually is the first time I ever heard a Hauser ever was on a Segovia recording. And I forget the name of the recording. I still have the LP. But on the recording, he's playing a Hauser. And this piece particularly struck me. It's a piece that he wrote. It's called Estudio Sin Luz, Study Without Light. He was recuperating from eye surgery at the time and was rather down. So wrote this very beautiful little piece. I'll try to remember it here.